I don't mind telling you guys that this took some serious doing. We are going to have a functional boat. All right, I have rewatched, the video that I have taken up to this point, putting this sleeve on, and I cannot recognize any issues with the way I did it. However, I am incredibly disappointed in the fact that I have glued together a one-piece bow here. Something either didn't get some releasing agent on it enough, some of that Vaseline, or I put it out in the sun to cure, to get warm and cure. I do not know, and watching videos still cannot identify what I did wrong. But the reality of it right now is this will not come apart. Will not come apart. And so I got to come up with some sort of nuclear option here to get these two pieces of bow apart. So understanding that I know I've got release in here. I know that my tenon is tapered in all directions. I do not know what that epoxy is grabbing onto, and I don't want to have to grind everything down and completely redo it. But I am going to grind a slot in here, and the reason I'm going to do a slot is it gives me something to try and wedge apart, to try and give me a little bit of gap so I can pull it apart. Identify what my problem is, and then what I'm thinking I can do, since it'll only be like a slot, right, and the integrity of the tenon, or the mortise rather, piece of the joint will still have all the integrity of everything minus one slot, and I think I can then grind down just enough to wrap a couple wraps across here to re-fortify the slot that we put in here, and that hopefully that's all the more work I'll have to put into this and be able to salvage the takedown option. But I managed to get exactly what I wanted here. You can see that I'm cut down. Hopefully in the light you can see that I'm right down to that caramel colored fiberglass on the backing strip. I should be able to wedge this apart, or at least get some sort of movement now to get this thing separated. Okay guys, we have managed to get ourselves a takedown bow. It took an awful lot of doing, and I don't mind saying so, because even after I got the fiberglass sleeve cut through, it still did not want to pull apart for nothing. Turns out that I did not have enough Vaseline on the fiberglass itself right here. It adhered onto this. I had to scrape off some pieces of the wrap material to get it smooth again. All right, so that is what caused my problem. It was a release agent problem. So now that we're past that part, I have a nice tight fit. So this will not be a problem as far as functionality is concerned, but we do have a bit of a problem with the fact that we've got a split in the sleeve itself, right? So the integrity of this sleeve is probably still 90% effective, but we can have an issue of this trying to spread apart in the instance of it being strung up and shot, right? So what we're going to do now is reduce the diameter or the thickness or the girth, whatever you want to call it, of the wrap here where it's cut, and then put a new layer of fiberglass wrap and epoxy down just to make sure it stays closed. And that's all we got to do is make sure it stays closed. Okay, here's our setup. Much like when we did it the first time around, I got all my parts set up here, and some fiberglass hanging off the limb further out of sight here. But the sleeve itself, the kerf of the blade cut has been packed with wax. Now, once I was done packing it with wax, I cleaned the whole surrounding area with acetone because you don't want wax on your adhesive surface. So make sure that when you do that with care. I have put the lower limb in place because I want to make sure that I get a good finished spot. All right, so it's going to require that the lower limb be in place where the wrap ends, because when I sanded it all down, it did get pretty doggone close on this lower edge, such that it was almost, I mean, it was very, very thin. I wouldn't say paper thin, but pretty thin. So I want to make sure that I'm not squeezing that opening at all in the course of wrapping it. So I put the lower limb back in there to ensure a snug, a proper fit. All right. We're going to get on about just putting this on now. It's going to be exactly like the process I showed before. So I'm not going to go through everything again. I'm just going to get this wrapped up in the sanded areas that you see, and then we will go from there. Man, what a challenge. This was a 2-day process. But we are going to have a functional bow here.